don't see any need for the Americans to want to save democracy in Europe now, because if it could be saved, we would manage it on our own. In Europe, and thus also in Germany, we absolutely must achieve greater security policy independence from the United States. That's no surprise, but it's been confirmed once again. It's documented. This is the new...
A statement that echoes from Berlin, clear and cold. We do not require the US to rescue our democracy. This is not mere diplomatic friction. It is the sound of a foundational pillar of the Western world. The Transatlantic alliance fracturing under deliberate pressure. The source of that pressure is explicit. A new American national security strategy. It declares the entire hemisphere, and I quote, our backyard. It demands access to pretty much every sovereign country. This is madness of arrogance in action. It views allies not as partners, but as assets to be controlled. This is the ultimate test. What if every recent conflict, from the tariff threat to a critical mineral to a new military posture in the Canadian Arctic, is not random, but a coordinated campaign to reshape America's relationship with its closest neighbors by force? Today we trace the lines of this fracture across 4 fronts. First, the blueprint. We decode the doctrine that redefines allies as subjects. Second, the Canadian pressure point. We examine the startling attempt to wield economic life and death over a nation. Third, the European reckoning. We analyze why Berlin's defiance is just the beginning of a continental shift. And fourth, the unintended creation. We reveal how this American strategy is forging a very alternative it leaks to prevent. The doctrine moves from paper to practice with startling speed. The target, Canada. The mechanism, economic coercion. The threat, significant. Tariffs on potash. The potassium-rich mineral essential for fertilizers is a masterclass in strategic miscalculation. The United States possesses almost none, and Canada holds the world's largest reserve. This isn't a negotiation. It is an attempt to hold a national agricultural security hostage to rewire a trade agreement, upcoming Kushma. But the miscalculation is profound. The cost would not be paid by Ottawa, but by American farmers operating already on razor-thin margins, and ultimately by US consumers at the grocery store. This is the orange insanity on full display. It is a move that would cripple the very constituents it's supposed to protect. Simultaneously, the doctrine takes direct aim at geography itself. By explicitly demanding access, it challenges Canadian sovereignty over the Northwest Passage, treating the Arctic not as a homeland to be stewarded, but as a transit corridor to be commanded. The message to Canada is unambiguous. Your resources are ours to regulate. Your territory is ours to access. You are not an ally. You are a subordinate within our sphere. Europe watches this pressure on Canada and recognizes the blueprint. If Washington applies this to its immediate neighbors and NATO ally, what precedent protects Berlin, Paris, and Warsaw? The conclusion in European capital is a seismic shift. Strategic autonomy is no longer an aspiration, it's an urgent necessity. As Ben Hodges, a retired US general, noticed, the current administration sees Europe as inconsequential and seeks partnerships elsewhere.
Western Hemisphere Indo-Pacific region, probably Middle East, and then Europe is number 4. And I think that despite the best efforts of many European countries to fulfill their responsibilities and to take on more of the responsibilities, the United States really sees Europe as inconsequential, except maybe for some business purposes. So this is important, and it pains me to say that after being a NATO officer and a U.S. Army officer for all these years, but Ukraine and Europe together are going to have to. And by the way, they do have the capability. If you add together the industry, the wealth, the populations, the technologies, there's no reason that Europe, including Ukraine, cannot stop Russia. It's sad for me to say this, but I think Europe and Ukraine, including Ukraine, knows that the United States has a primary interest, which is business with Russia after this is all concluded. With the revelations of this past week about what Mr. Witkoff was doing and Jared Kushner with their Russian colleagues, I think that Europe is slowly waking to the realization that they cannot count on the U.S. to be a fair interlocutor here, and that the outcome, if it goes the way that Mr. Witkoff and Jared Kushner wanted to go with the Russians, is going to be a massive problem for Europe, because it will be such an unsatisfactory outcome for Ukraine that I think we'll see millions more Ukrainian refugees heading into Central and Western Europe.
Claude France Arnold, a senior fellow of Brussels Institute for Geopolitics in Paris, shares Ben Hodges' sentiment regarding EU's formidable self-defense capacity,
including against rather new forms of attacks, such as the hybrid cyber attacks. And we need to do more, but we are already formidable enough to deter any aggression, even without the United States.
The response is not panic, but a cold, calculated build-up. The discussion is no longer about relying on American security, but about constructing a European deterrent so formidable it requires no external savior. The goal is real, operational independence. This is bolstered by a profound loss of moral authority. Accusations of democratic backsliding now flows both ways across the Atlantic. When the rule of law is questioned at the heart of the alliance itself is questioned. Europe is not leaving the West, it is rearming the West's other pillar, with or without Washington's blessing. Here lies the grand unintended consequence. The American strategy, designed to assert dominance, has become the architect of its own counterweight, while the orange fascist gangsters' approval rating is at a record low. US foreign investments are right behind it. And Canada's economy in the same time is doing better than expected. Our GDP has recovered nicely. And Canada's unemployment rate fell to 6.5% in November, a nice drop from previous months. According to the Bank of Canada, our economy grew by a surprisingly strong 2.6% in the third quarter. And for 2026, the Bank of Canada also predicts that economic growth will further improve through 2026. However, faced with identical pressure, economic coercion and strategic disrespect, Canada and Europe are being fused together by shared necessity. They are not being pulled apart from the US. They are being pushed towards each other. For Canada, the European market becomes the indispensable alternative, the guarantor of sovereignty against southern pressure. Record-breaking agriculture exports, accelerating LNG talks and defense integration in the Arctic with Nordic nations like Sweden, Finland and Denmark are not coincidences. They are a strategic hedge becoming a foundation. For Europe, Canada becomes the reliable, resource-rich, like-minded partner across the Atlantic, a democratic nation that understands both American pressure and European values. It is the perfect cornerstone for a diversified, resilient alliance. What is emerging is a new North Atlantic, Euro-Canadian bloc, not an anti-American pact, but a coalition of sovereign states united by democratic principles, a rule-based order, and a mutual need for stability that can no longer be outsourced by a single volatile partner. The doctrine sought to create vassals. It is creating a powerful new partnership instead. So the defining question is this: has Trump's aggressive nationalism aimed at making America first inadvertently catalyzed the formation of a Canadian-Europe superbloc that will define the next era of Western power? Steps are implemented. Reactions are underway. Our future is being shaped. Tell me your verdict in the comments below. If this video gave you value, I would love it if you subscribe. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by Christmas. So please do support that goal if you are curious. And if you like this channel's deep dives, click the like button and ring the bell so you won't miss my next one. Thanks for watching. I'm Wilfried Lehmkuhler from Europe Curious.
You by our side, and we spent so many nights thinking how you did us wrong. Now we've banded all together. Your tariff made us strong, and so you know you're not so great. There's not a snowball's chance in hell will be your 51st state. You really need our resources far more than we need you, so now just go. Walk out the door. We do not need you. You're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who instigated these trade fights? You'll soon grow to regret it when we turn off your lights and the we will survive. As long as we can think and what we know will stay alive. We have all we really need. We can live without your greed. We will survive. We will survive. There's been a change. It's time to know. We're not that fledgling little country stealing all of you. We are now a nation proud that is happy to be free. You didn't realize you gave us our own identity, so now just go. We will survive. As long as we can think and what we know and stay alive. Yeah, but all we really need, we can live without your greed. We will survive. We will survive. We will survive.
51st state, my fucking ass. Go on, Carney.